5 plus or minus 15. Now, there are more than that, correct? There are more x-intercepts. So if I typed it in, I press graph, and I'll see 3 x-intercepts. We agree? Like you see it crosses 3 times. So then you should get 3 factors, okay? Or technically 2, which we will get in the next. So here, we see if we can rocket count. 3, 2, 1, 0. Poof, we can. So we get a 1, we get a 9, we get a 23, we get a 15. Now, this is my root. X equals negative 5. What's my factor? X plus 5. So down here I'm going to write x plus 5 because I know I'm going to need that and some more factors, right? Because it's asking me to factor, so I need factors, right? Then I drop this down, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add till I get hopefully a 0 in the box, or else I picked the wrong thing, correct? So negative 5 times 1 is negative 5, add 4. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20, add 3. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15, add 0. So I get 1x squared plus 4x plus 3. It's always 1 less than what I'm looking at. So if it's x cubed, then that would be x squared because I took an x out. Okay? Then over here, I have x squared plus 4x plus 3. What multiplies to give me 3? And what adds to give me 4? 3 and 1. So I get x plus 3, x plus 1. Now I told you I don't need to actually give you an answer key, correct? Because you could type this into your calculator into y1, which you should already because you would have got an x-intercept there. And you type the factored one into y2, and they should draw the same graph, correct? I also told you that if you don't have the calculators with colors, that you should go to the side of the y2 where there's a slash, hit enter once, draws a thin line, draws a thick one over top. Okay? So that's this one. I want to go through A and B. C and D you guys can check on your own. The reason why I wanted to go through A and B is a little special in 2 ways. Okay? First off, B sets you up because you can't rocket count it, right? It's 3, 1, 0. So I have to put a placeholder of 0. So I type it into my calculator, and what's my lowest x-intercept? X equals 5. So then that's x minus 5. And then I go down here and I write x minus 5. And the reason why I write my factor down there right away is because a whole bunch of people, when I go to mark the test, will have the factors from like the squared, but they'll forget to take that top factor they found and put it in the answer, and then I have to take off 0.5. So I immediately take it and I write it down there so that it's there, so that I can't accidentally forget to put it there. So now I have 1, 0, negative 27, and 10. Drop the 1. I get 5 times 1 is 5. Add it, 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Add it, negative 2. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Add it is 0. So I get 1x squared plus 5x minus 2. Now, can I multiply something to get me negative 2 and add to get me 5? No. So if it says factor, that's your factor. It just happens to be a quadratic factor, or a degree 2 factor, they'll call it sometimes. So sometimes they'll ask you for the degree 2 factor in a multiple choice answer. Well, this would be the degree 2 factor. I can't factor it. Yeah. But if I said, yeah.
Why when you multiply negative 5 by 1, which is plus 5?
It's not a negative 5.
Oh, you just multiply by that?
Yeah, you always multiply by the root. If you multiply by the factor, you have to subtract. Now, the catch here, too, is that if I asked you to solve, though, you wouldn't be done. This would have to go in the quadratic formula. So if it says factor, you're excited when you get one that doesn't factor, because you're just done. You have a linear and you have a quadratic factor, or a degree 1 and a degree 2 factor, okay? If it says solve, not as excited, because you have to use the quadratic formula for that one, okay? Now, do you see how this started with a positive 1, and this started with a positive 1, and then our nice factoring we had to look at was product sum? Do you see that? If your leading coefficient is not a 1, you have to do decomp. So when I see a polynomial that starts with 1, I'm like, yeah. And then I see it starts with 2, I'm like, meh. Because I have to do decomp. It's not the end of the world, just a little more work. So we'll do this one. What is the factor that we can get for this one? What's the first, root? X equals? What did you get? -2. Do we have to use the smallest one? No. I always choose to use the smallest one so that we're all comparing the same work. But if you use a different one, it just means that when you factor, you'll get the other two factors when you factor it. You'll end up with the same ones in the end. You just go on a different route. Okay? So I know my factor is x plus 2. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to write x plus 2. I love this board so much. Okay. Now I just start writing stuff. Do I just start writing stuff or do I have to do what first? Rocket count. 3, 2, 1, 0. So I'm good, correct? I should also always write my possible zeros just in case for some reason I get that as a multiple choice question. And I'm always prepared, right? If I stop writing the possible zeros, it's something you forget about. So the possible zeros, 4x intercepts, if I took away your calculator, you'd have to use these, would be plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 6. So then I write my coefficients. 2, -1, -13, -6. So when that leading coefficient isn't a 1, I'm going to have to do decomp. Why? Why am I going to have to do decomp? My first step is to drop the 2. Is it not? My first step is to drop whatever that first leading coefficient is. So that's going to be what my first number is going to be of my x squareds. So it's going to be 2x squared. I know that. So when your leading coefficient isn't a 1, you're going to have to do decomp. All right. So we get -2 times 2 is -4. Add them. -1 and -4 is -5. Multiply -2 and -5 is +10. Add them. -13 and 10 is -3. Multiply -2 and -3 is +6. Add them and I get a 0 and I'm happy because it's my remainder and I need to get a 0 if I'm going to factor. If you don't get a 0, often you didn't rocket count, so you're missing a 0. Or 2, you took like the y-intercept instead of the x-intercept off your table. People will do that all the time. Okay, so don't do that. So now I have 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. And I say what times what equals -6? What plus what equals -5? So it's going to be -6, +1. Some people try and tell me it's -2, -3. -2, -3, yes, that gets you -5, but -2 times -3 gets you +6, so it doesn't work. So how do I do decomp? I replace this. So I keep the first term, 2x squared. I replace the -5x with -6x plus 1x. And then -3, and then I group. I can take a 2x out of the front bracket, and I get x minus 3. And then what do I take out of the back? Well, I have an x minus 3, so I just take out a +1. So I'm going to get x minus 3 and 2x plus 1. Also, when you do decomp, when you know you're going to be doing decomp with it, just so you know, you will get some really nice zeros. Like you'll get like 1 and 7 or whatever, and you'll always get one of the zeros as a fraction of some sort. Because when you do decomp, you get like a 2x plus 1 out of it. When I solve that, that's x equals -1/2, right? So those would be your zeros. So we've done x cubed. We're going to flip over. What happens if I get something larger than an x cubed? Well, this is not hard. It isn't. You just end up doing more synthetic divisions. Because remember, every time I do a synthetic division, it knocks my x down 1, correct? So when I did x cubed, it knocked it down to x squared. I could factor it, yes? So if it's x4, when I do x4 once, it's going to knock me down to an x cubed, right? And I'm going to put my x cubed in my calculator, and now I'm just doing this. I'm doing my x cubed again. If I have an x5, and I have to do synthetic division once again, knock me down to an x4. Synthetic division once again to knock me down to an x cubed. Synthetic division again to knock me down to an x squared. And then I can factor. So you literally have to do synthetic division until it knocks you down to an x squared, and you can attempt to factor. Okay? So this one here is an x4. Type it into your calculator. The highest I can go to in the curriculum is an x5. It's called quartic, quintic. Yep. So if it was x5, you'll do synthetic division once, it'll get you to x4. And you do synthetic division again, it gets you to x3.
I think the higher numbers.
Yeah. But we max out at 5. They just won't make us do more because it's just monotonous at that point.
Do people actually do it in their jobs that would use them?
Not higher than that, for that much, yeah. Type it in, find your lowest x-intercept. You can use that as other ones, but. Does anyone find the lowest one? Quartics, just so you know, either make W's or M's. My last name used to be Wagner. It worked out really well. Because if it's a positive quartic, you get the word Wagner, because I'm positive and awesome, but now I'm Lepp and it works for nothing. Oh, Lepp works for the L of the synthetic division symbol. Maybe nothing. It's useless. No one can spell it. It's 4 letters, and no one can spell it. You'll think my name's Lepp. L-I-P-P? No. L-E-P? No. And then my name is this. You see how there's a double L problem going on here? They think I'm Krista Lepp or Crystal Epp. I'm not Crystal Lepp. So then I'm the weirdo who goes, what's your name? My name is Crystal Lepp. I take like a big breather in the middle. Because I go, Crystal Lepp. Oh, hi, Krista. Nope. Crystal Lepp. Hi, Crystal Epp. Nope. So now, my name is Crystal Lepp. Crystal Wagner. No one screwed that up. It was perfect. It's great. Why did I change my name? I don't know. Should have left it. Sweet. No one was like, how do you spell Wagner? Not one human spelled it right. Lepp. Can't spell it. So I go L-E Peter Peter. One person wrote L-E Peter Peter. My daughter's like, it's still the funniest name, Mom. She thinks it's hilarious. It's just typing L-E Peter Peter. And I'm like, no, it's Lepp. L-E, like Peter Peter, like L-E-P-P. Because they think it's let all the time, L-E-T-T. I get that a lot as well. Didn't see any of that coming. If my husband would have told me that, I would have been like, you know what? I'll just keep my name. Because he wouldn't have fought me on it. He actually thought, since we had 2 girls, we should just make our own last name up, like a random new one. It's not carrying on anyways. Like Crystal Shamrock or something. I don't know if Shamrock was the first thing that I'm recording this, aren't I? Oops. Yep. And to math. What is the x-intercept? Lowest one. -2. If you use a different one, it doesn't matter. You just won't do the same as me. So we have an x plus 2 down here. I'm going to erase my name off of here. That's now embedded into the room. It's gone. All right. I'm going to write my possibles. So plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 6, plus or minus 9, plus or minus 18. Okay, then I start. I just go. Do I just go? Or do I have to do something first? Rocket camp. I get to be my little astronaut. So, 1, I don't think they do that, but it would be cool if they did. So 4, 3, 2. This is why I teach math. I can't count.
I feel like that's a prerequisite.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No one checked. They just let me in.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I actually don't have a math degree. I have an English degree. No, I do not, as you can tell by the way I speak. But, yeah. What's the matter? Did you find one? Oh. I had filled it up with high chews yesterday, but they got all taken. And then I had a little bit left today, but then they must have gotten all taken. Sorry. I don't know where they all are. Okay. It's just like pocketing him afterwards. Okay. 1, -3, -7, 15, 18. So, drop the 1. We go -2 times 1 is -2. Add it, -5. -2, -5 is 10. Add it is 3. -2, -3. Multiplied is -6. 15 plus -6 is not 7. I was going to write that. -2 and 9 is -18. They didn't prerequisite my multiplication fact. I was actually really good at my mom times tabled me like every day. I was like the kid who knew their times tables really early. And that led me to this day. Yeah, I corrected myself. I was going to add them. Okay, so what do we have here? What's our first exponent then? X cubed. So now we have 1x cubed minus 5x squared plus 3x plus 9. And then this cracks me up because people go, I don't know how to factor that. Yeah, you do. You just did x cubed right here. Like you're pro at it now. So how will we do an x cubed? What's the first step? Yeah, it is counted down because we forced it to be. But true set, I like that one. We'll double check. Nothing worse than not rocket counting. What's better? Rocket counting twice. Okay, so will we get an x cubed? What's our first step? Check for rocket counting. Second step. Yeah, put it into your calculator and find a x-intercept. Go. Yeah, see, we just pretend this didn't happen. See, like if we just pretend we didn't do any math here, and I gave you this, what would you do? You'd all put it in your calculator. But because we did math first, you're like, I have no idea. But if I just was like, hey, factor this, you'd be like, oh, cool, put it in my calculator, check for rocket counting. You know, be pros at it. But because you did this, you're like, got nothing. I want your lowest x-intercept. Lowest x-intercept.
Do we keep the first one, like the X factor one? Okay. I was really asking.
Lowest x-intercept, what is it? -1. So now we get x equals -1, and we put x plus 1. What if we didn't use the lowest one? We don't have to use the lowest one. I'm just using the lowest one, so we're all following the same thing. You can pick whatever you want. You're going to get a different x-intercept there. You'll just have a different cubic, right? No big deal. You type that cubic in. Like, you don't have to use the lowest one. So now I come down here and I put the x plus 1 down here. Why? So that people don't forget to write it. Correct? Okay. Then we bring down the 1. 1 times -1, -1. Add it. -6. -1 times -6. 6. Add it. 9. -1 times 9 is -9. And then happiness ensues because I have a remainder of 0. X squared now, minus 6x plus 9. So if it was an x to the 5, we would be doing 3 synthetic divisions. We do the x to the 5, it gives an x to the 4, we put it in our calculator, get a 0. X to the 4, get an x to the 3, put it in our calculator, get a 0. X to the 3 to x to the 2, then you factor. Same thing. I'm not done because I need to factor. What multiplies to give me 9 and adds to give me -6? -3 and -3. So we can write it like this, but you'll probably see it like this. Does everyone have it typed in their calculator? So x minus 3 is the factor. What is the x-intercept when it's x minus 3? X equals 3. So everyone go press graph. see what's happening at 3. What's happening at 3? Yep, but what's happening at 3 on the graph? The other ones are doing this. What's that? That? Not really, but they're going like that. What's happening at 3? Yes. There's an intercept there. Yeah. What's happening at 3? It's different than me just drawing straight lines. Yeah.
There's like a minimum value.
Yeah, there's like a little bouncy bounce. Yeah? You all scared of figuring out what English words to use. Bounce. It does this. I would have taken that. It doesn't go straight through. I would have taken that. It does something like this. Or like this. Yeah? It bounces. Right? That bouncing is called a tangent. So you get a tangent when you have 2 x-intercepts in the same spot. So before I go to factor anything, I will always type it into y equals and then I will press graph, right? If it's going straight through, the factors will be to the exponent 1. Like if you, how did that get erased? Thanks, board. So this one's to a 1, this one's to a 1. We just don't write it when they're to 1s, correct? But when they're to an exponent 1, they just shoot through. Straight lines, you see them, right? Shoo, shoo, right through the x-intercept. When they're 2, they have a tangent. They bounce. So they either hit and bounce up or hit and bounce down. Okay? Humor me. Type this in. What kind of function is that? Is it degree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What do you think? How many are here? 2. How many are here? 3. At minimum, it has to be 5. Because you can have at max the number of x-intercepts as the degree. So if it's degree 4, you can have at maximum 4 x-intercepts. This one has 5. It has 2 at 1 and 3 at 3. Correct? So at minimum, this is a degree 5 function. It is a degree 5 function. Okay? What's happening when there's the 2? So at x equals -1, what's happening in front of your faces? You get a bounce. You get a tangent. Okay? What's happening with this at 3? You get like a snake, like an S through it, right? You get something that looks like this. It'll either look like this when you have a 3, or it'll look like this when you have a 3. This is called a point of inflection. It's when you have 3 x-intercepts in the same spot. Okay, this one. You're at page 134. Number 5. Page 134, number 5. Oh, skip away the factor. So number 5, I want you to do B D and E. And then number 6. Number 6, I want you to do B, C, and E. A hint to number 6. 2 of these will get you quadratic factors, which means they're not going to factor, right? Remember, if you can't factor a quadratic, you literally just leave it as a quadratic factor. It's actually easier. You don't have to do the work. You get a linear one and then a quadratic factor. So for 6, 2 of them are quadratic factors and with a linear.